We do something called Bite-Sized Insights here. It's a technology segment is what it is, which impacts so much of our lives. This is really a great advice for businesses that are in this. And we have the director of Smart Services for High Point Networks joining us today for the Bite-Sized Insights. So glad to have Brandon Conkins here to tackle this topic with us today. Brandon, how are you?
I'm great, Scott. Great to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you. We got Brandon on the stream. If you're watching live as well, you can check that out. What an awesome title to be the director of Smart Services. What is that? What does that mean? That sounds like a fun job.
We'll get into that a bit, but we believe that we have a smart solution to the industry.
What does the industry need in the way of a smart solution? Just give me the big picture.
Well, really, just big picture. We're seeing a lot of labor shortage, as you guys see. That's not exclusive just to the IT industry. We have statistics floating around right now that for roughly every one person that's entering the labor force, 2 are leaving. So we know that that's in large part due to baby boomers retiring. But positions that took days or weeks with long lines out the door to fill now can take months.
So let's talk a little bit about the dynamics and why that's happening. You touched on some of them, but that everybody's dealing with, but then narrow it down to the impact on a company's IT department.
You got it. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of wage growth, inflation. As you know, I think what were the numbers between 2020 to 2023? There was over 18% inflation. Hybrid workforce is huge. Not just in IT, but that whole work from home movement. So an example of that, I was out visiting our Billings, Montana office and getting lunch with a client. And he had mentioned that his last day of work was that Friday, and he was going to work for a San Francisco-based company. And my knee-jerk reaction was, I didn't know they had operations up here, and found out that he's working from his home for San Francisco-based company and obviously making San Francisco-based wages. So we've got this situation where, in the heartland here, we're battling East and West Coast companies over the local talent pool. So really with that, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, obviously on the IT side of this, with this changing landscape you've described, the danger of downtime is real and getting there all the time. So, what's the fix?
Yeah. So with this ever evolving labor constraint, the cybersecurity, all of these things threatening that, there's really this drive for more help from outside IT professionals. Going back to really 30 years ago, where things were more, you had an IT guy, so to speak, and that was more of like a project-based or break-fix-based relationship. That created some pain points around just like unpredictable expenses. 1 month, things might be just working well, and then the next month, maybe you're dealing with a cyber incident or you're having to restore from backups, and now you get an unexpected bill of $15,000, $20,000. And it's created a dichotomy where the IT provider did best or really made money off of your issues. And that really didn't feel good for anyone. So about 20 years ago, emerged managed services, particularly to help those small businesses that didn't have IT staff. And, if you have 10 employees, 15 employees, there really isn't justification to have a full FTE there for IT. So how I kind of explain this to my family or maybe grandma is it's much like lawn care. You want your grass mowed, you want it green, you want it fertilized, you don't want weeds in there and for a predictable monthly expense. Well, we have those options now in lawn care and in IT as well. You want connectivity, you want security, or that business continuity that we're talking about. That is in IT as well through IT managed services. And ultimately you get a proactive approach instead of reactive, because that dichotomy is now flipped where MSPs are incentivized to lower their own costs by preventing your issues before they happen.
How do you customize that depending on what the actual needs are of businesses small and large?
Yeah, that's a great question. Traditional managed services, like we talked about, that started and is now about 20 years old, they rely heavily on a tier one group of individuals. That's probably their first position out of tech school. The issue that I've seen that creates is this might be the first time they're ever seeing this solution or this issue that you're calling them about. And hopefully they're escalating that to help when they need to, rather than sitting on it for hours on end trying to be the hero. So this, in my experience, has created a dated approach that oftentimes results in longer mean time to resolution and leaving customers dissatisfied. So to answer your question, more of a customized approach. And again, getting into the smart services, is we think there's a smarter way. We augment businesses by coming alongside them in areas where they need an expert. We started this around 7 years ago with Smart Firewall. And the first thing we did was hire a guy by the name of Paul that came to us with over 25 years of experience, particularly with firewalls. And this team lives, breathes, eats that component of your network, and are some of the brightest, not only regionally, but around the globe.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I guess, the medical care analogy, you used lawn care earlier, but how I see this, just from, being a novice at what you're talking about, and really appreciate your expertise, is that, okay, I'd perfect world, I'd have a team of IT people that I can have at my beck and call 24/7 right under my roof. Like in any position these days, that's darn hard to do. And of course, budgets are budgets, and the smaller the business are, the less budget you have for somebody at IT. But I actually go with a managed service plan, and now I'm getting the experts.
Yep.
It's like going to Mayo Clinic, for a second opinion. I've got them on the team, so you really punch above your weight grade by doing what you're suggesting here, right?
Yeah, you might only need a cardiologist once a year, or an ophthalmologist for a couple hours. Maybe a bad example, but a couple hours a month. In the same regard, we can partner you alongside of a network monitoring engineer, an email security engineer, cybersecurity, data center, backup and disaster recovery. And again, getting back to the certifications and the level of expertise, some of these individuals are going out and competing on the global stage where there's 50 of their peers, and they're trying to see who the number one person is in that particular industry.
80 plus engineers with a whole wide scope of knowledge and specialization. Pretty amazing. I mean, email security, data center technologies, network design, and most importantly, I think the backup and disaster recovery. This has been great. If there's a business person listening right now wants to get some help on this front, how do they reach you? Ask more questions or set up a meeting?
Yeah, the easiest way is probably to find the contact us link on our website at www.highpointnetworks.com. Our telephone number is 701-282-6459. Or you can also just reach out to me directly. I'm happy to help point you in the right direction. That's brandon.conkins@highpointnetworks.com.
Guy with the best title ever, Director of Smart Services for High Point Networks, Brandon Conkins, with us today. Brandon always enjoys these bite-sized insights. You schooled us up good today, so thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Scott. Have a Merry Christmas.
Take care. One big nightmare away from, just a little bit of downtime, the stuff you need to think about. You don't want to wake up to the what ifs. Amazing how much we rely on these services, and they're pros at High Points Network.